Started. A very good morning to one and all.
Jangan.
Namaskar, dear. Health is, you all are aware of that. And dear children, you are also our wealth. You are the living messages we are sending for the times to come. And we hope, we wish for you to be healthy, responsible, and creative citizens of the future. In this endeavor, we keep arranging programs to spread awareness amongst our children. Today, we have our guest, Dr. Rahul Mehra. We welcome you, sir. A warm namaskar from all of you, from all of us. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
Samriddhi, over
Yes,
to
ma'am.
Samriddhi to welcome our guest speaker. Thank you.
Respected headmistress, ma'am, teachers, and my dear friends, I take immense pleasure and pride in welcoming our guest for the day, Dr. Rahul Mehra, PhD, Executive Chairman, Tarang Health Alliance. Dr. Rahul was born in Delhi and is a graduate of modern school. He received his bachelor's degree in engineering from Indian Institute of Technology, Kharagpur, and his PhD in bioengineering from USA in 1975. He worked as a research scientist in various hospitals and the assistant professor of medicine at the Downstate Medical Center, New York till 1983. He was granted over 70 patents on various medical technologies and has authored over 90 manuscripts and 24 book chapters. He received the Distinguished Award for Outstanding Contribution in the field of preventive cardiology for American Association of Cardiologists of Indian origin. He developed an education DVD on harmful effects of tobacco for Indian youth. He retired in 2009. He resides in Colorado, USA and is a Rotarian there. After retiring, he started the Tarang Health Alliance, a non-profit organization dedicated to promote health education in Indian schools. The NGO's mission is to make comprehensive health programs compulsory in all Indian schools so that the children grow up to be healthy and realize their full potential. Namaskar, sir. On behalf of my school, teachers, and dear friends, I extend my warm welcome to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Samriddhi. Thank you so much. That was, I almost didn't recognize my own CV. I said, ye kaun aadmi hai? No, anyway, I'm just joking. So yes, I'm very grateful to be here. And I see these all bright young faces here. I see about 9 of you. So it's really my pleasure to talk to all of you. And this is a great opportunity to see the faces. Um, as some of you may know, we are already doing a very small project at Bal Bharti School, and we are going to be doing a much bigger project next year. So I'm assuming you are fond of learning health. This is what we do. We want you to learn about health. And learning about health is important. Why? Because if you're healthy, you can do anything in life. Whatever your goals are, you are not constrained by anything. So it's really, I'm looking forward to working with all of you. Um, and I have with me in the audience, I think Prerna is there. She's one of the employees of Tarang Health Alliance, which is our NGO. And Sunita Bajaj, I think, is there too. I can't see them all. She's also an employee. So we have an NGO in Delhi. And as Samriddhi, you read, I don't reside there right now, but I come to Delhi very often. but because of the pandemic, obviously my travel has been curtailed. Uh, so I'm looking forward to it, and I'm looking forward to your questions. So what we will do is we will talk about AIDS and HIV today, which is the topic, and then I will open it up to questions. Whatever questions you have, please do not hesitate to ask me. Okay, that is the good part of presentation. So if you please give me the permission to start my, I'll have to be the host. You'll have to make me the host so I can use my slides.
Sir, you can just go to three dots and there is a, it's there, present your screen. It's written present now. You can present your screen, sir.
Oh, okay, you have already given me.
I've already given, sir.
Okay, thank you so much.
Welcome.
Okay. Okay, so can you see my screen, please?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. It's
We
visible.
can see it.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes,
I
yes,
just,
sir.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir. It's visible.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
It's visible.
sir.
thank you so
Yes,
much.
sir.
Thank you. So, again, the topic for today is AIDS and HIV. What you should know. Many of you may not have heard about these two words, but we will talk about it. So that will be exactly what this discussion and this presentation will be about. So the first question you may ask is, why are we discussing this topic today? आज क्यों इसको discuss कर रहे हैं? The reason is because World AIDS Day is December 1st, which is next week. So that is the reason why we are talking about it today. And the goal of the World AIDS Day is to raise awareness about this AIDS pandemic. Now, the word pandemic has become very familiar to all of you. We are in a pandemic right now. It is the COVID-19 pandemic. There is the coronavirus pandemic. But AIDS is a very different kind of pandemic, and we will discuss that. And this AIDS Day was started in 1988. So this has been going on for almost 30 plus years. So what does the word AIDS mean? Now, this is a very long word for you children, but I'll try to explain it. It is the name of a disease or a syndrome, they call it. It's a disease. It stands for acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. Now, I think you all understand the word acquired. Acquired means you get it from somebody else. You acquire something. It's acquired through some means. The word immunodeficiency, I think you understand the word immune. Every body, each one of you has an immune system. And you've heard a lot about it during this coronavirus. And if the immune system is deficient, means if it's weak, that is why it's called AIDS. That is the correct description of the disease AIDS. Now, I wish I could be with you physically, because then I would be able to see all the faces, which I cannot see right now. Let me ask you, how many types of diseases are there? Just think for a moment. Do you know how many types of diseases? Not the names of diseases, there are thousands of diseases. My question is, how many types of diseases are there? Anyway, I cannot see you. I don't know whether you're raising your hands. I don't want you to answer because it'll get very disruptive. But there are actually two types of diseases.
Dr. Mehra, I think Bhavesh is trying to answer. If we can just have one or two responses.
Okay, yes, please, go ahead. Yes, please respond. Yes, can somebody...
Okay, Yeah, Bhavish, we couldn't hear you. There was some disturbance. Ananya, you were trying to say something? Please unmute yourself.
Sir, sir, there are two types of diseases.
Okay, can you name what those two types are, Amanya?
Sir, AIDS and HIV.
No, okay, those are, yes, that's what we are talking about. But
Sir, may I
generally,
answer? Bacterial virus. Sir,
Sir,
may
can
I
I answer, please?
Can I answer?
Sir?
Sir, can I answer?
Can I?
okay, I can't see you, so please, one person
Can I?
answer who thinks,
Sir,
Sir?
can
who
I?
knows the answer.
Sir, there
Yes,
are two types of diseases. Sir, communicable and non-communicable.
Yes,
yes.
sir.
Sir,
Communicable
viral
and
and non-viral.
non-communicable.
Sir, communicable
Okay,
and non-communicable.
very good, very good. I think let's stop here. Somebody answered communicable and non-communicable, and that is the right answer. There are two kinds of diseases. The word communicable means infectious diseases, means we can get it from an animal, we can get it from other people, etc. An example of infectious diseases is AIDS, which is what we are talking about today, malaria. You've heard of malaria in India. There's lots of malaria. Even the common cold. When you get a cold, you if somebody has got that virus and you happen to be close to that person and he or she sneezes in your face, you can get that virus. That's called the common cold virus. So these are called infectious diseases. They're caused by germs, viruses, there's bacteria. These are all different types of germs. And they travel from a person to person or between animals and people. And these germs are very small. You can't see them. आप देख नहीं सकते हो. इतने छोटे होते हैं. And those are called infectious diseases. The second type of diseases are called the non-communicable diseases or chronic diseases. And I'm sure you've heard of diabetes, heart disease, and cancer. Do you think you can catch diabetes from somebody else? No, you cannot. This is something which happens because of your bad health habits. If you don't eat well, if you don't exercise, if you smoke all the time or smoke a lot, you can get any of these diseases. You don't get it from somebody else, you give it to yourself. So those are the two kinds of diseases I wanted to share. But that was a wonderful answer. Somebody did mention correctly, communicable and non-communicable. Now, AIDS and HIV, and I'll explain, the disease is called AIDS, and HIV is the name of the virus, and I'll explain what that is. That's a communicable disease. It's not a non-communicable disease. You can't eat it. You can't get it by eating bad food or not exercising. You get it from somebody else. And the word HIV stands for human. H stands for human because it happens in humans. And the same word is there, immuno. Just remember the word immune. We have an immune response in our body. And if that is very weak or deficient, that is called the human immunodeficiency virus. That's the name of the virus. And it is transmitted from one person to the next person. Now, when the HIV virus is in the body, for many years, it causes the disease. Not right away. So let's assume I have the HIV virus. For many years in the body, it gives rise to the disease called AIDS. But having the HIV virus is not good. It is very bad for us. Which other diseases are caused by a virus? Now, I'm going to again ask this question, and since we can get some response, can somebody, any one of the students, name one disease which is caused by a virus? Okay, okay, okay.
And COVID-19.
Okay, I can't hear you all
The
at the same
COVID-19.
time, so it's very difficult for me to orchestrate. Uh, when everybody talks.
Spanish flu and coronavirus.
Coronavirus. Yes, yes. I
Sir, coronavirus.
coronavirus.
One of the
Yes.
Sir, coronavirus. Sir, chickenpox. Sir, coronavirus.
Thank you. Okay, okay.
coronavirus is one of the
Thank.
example.
That's right. Okay. Thank you all. You all got it.
COVID-19.
COVID-19. You all got it right.
Coronavirus.
The coronavirus is another virus. It's exactly the same way HIV is a virus. Coronavirus is also a virus. COVID-19, which is the name of the disease that is going on today everywhere, not only in India, in America, across the whole world, the real SARS-CoV-2. But don't worry about it. Just calling it coronavirus is fine. It is fine. It's just the technical name is SARS-CoV-2, but we call it coronavirus, which is fine. How long does it take for this coronavirus to cause COVID-19? It almost happens immediately. That is why you're all told to wear masks. You're told not to go outside or keep social distancing or physical distancing, because if you catch the virus, you can fall sick quite quickly. So, whereas in the HIV, the HIV virus has to sit in the body for years and is still causing damage, and then it gives rise to the disease AIDS. So having the virus or the disease is very bad. It can really make a big difference. So here's a question you may all be wondering. Do you know where the COVID-19 virus came from? It came
China. China.
The China.
Yes. Okay.
China.
Okay. Thank Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, dear children, please speak one by
Thank you.
one. Please speak
Thank
one
you.
by one. Thank you, dear children. Thank you.
Thank you, dear children. Yeah.
Please raise your hand as you did for the first question, and we can just take your names and then you can respond.
Yeah, I think this is Prana. This is a very good idea. Please don't answer when I ask a question. Just raise your hand, and Prana or somebody else who's on the call will then pick on one student. Otherwise, but I think I heard the answer. Everybody said China, but that's not what I was looking for. It came from bats. Yes, they were in China. You're absolutely right. They were in China, these bats, in a city called Wuhan, China. Now, the HIV virus comes from chimpanzees. It lives in chimpanzees. They don't get sick. We get sick. As I mentioned, the coronavirus came from bats. The bats don't get sick. The humans get sick. That's the problem. So we have to be very careful that we don't pick up these viruses from animals, from certain kind of animals. What does it do? And this is the issue that I kept repeating the word, emphasizing the word immune. It attacks the immune system. What is the immune system? Okay, I'm not going to ask that question because I'm sure some of you know the answer to this question, but just for the sake of keeping it a little organized, our body's immune system, it consists of many cells and organs that work together. But what do? They attack the germs, which helps us keep healthy. So just think about it. A germ is trying to attack you. It's trying to attack your body. The immune system, which is within your body, consists of many cells and organs, says, oh my God, look, there is this germ coming at us. We have to kill it. It's a war between the germs and the immune system. Whichever is stronger will win. If my immune system is very weak, and if I get some infection, some germ comes into my body, my immune system will not be able to kill it. Now you see that picture on the right. You see those germs coming at this. It's just a visual there, and this boy has a shield in front of him. He's saying, I won't let you harm me. How? Because it has a very strong immune system. So you may say, "Bhai, ab immune system को strong रखना है. How will we keep the immune system strong? If your immune system is strong, you will attack the virus. Your immune system will attack the virus, and you will win. If you eat a healthy diet, that will boost your immune system. If you exercise regularly, that will make your immune system stronger. And if you get enough sleep, this is how your immune system becomes strong. अच्छा खाना खाओ, रोज exercise करो, and I know it's a little difficult during the pandemic, but I still would recommend that you should be exercising every day. For 1 hour a day, you should all be doing some physical activity, either in the house or in the park, out in the open, where you don't want to be in a crowded place, obviously, during this pandemic, and you have to get enough sleep. So this is how you can build your immunity. So the HIV virus is trying to attack the person. And then if the virus wins, you get this disease over time. After a number of years, you'll get AIDS. It causes serious health problems. You get weight loss, you get very tired, you get a lot of diarrhea. Now look at this picture I'm showing on the right lower corner. Here's a man from Africa. On the right-hand side, it's the same man when he was healthy. Then he got the AIDS. And look at him on the left-hand side. Buri halat ho rahi hai uski. It can be very debilitating. It can cause, you can see the weight loss. You see his skin and bones. Once you have that, the HIV virus has taken over your body, your immune system becomes very weak, and patients die. You can die about 10 to 15 years earlier if you get the AIDS virus. The AIDS syndrome, actually.
Sir, I have a doubt.
Yes, please. Go ahead.
So, if someone's immune system is very strong, so if it catches HIV, so the immune system gets weak.
Yes, if the HIV, so your immune system will first try to fight the HIV. There'll be a war between the two. If the HIV, the virus wins, then it'll kill your immune system. It'll destroy it. And then this is what happens. You see this man?
Yes, sir.
His immune system was not strong enough to fight the virus.
Okay, so that's why it got that AIDS virus.
Yes. AIDS
Okay.
syndrome, yes.
Sir, I have a doubt.
Yes, please.
Sir, you said that that common cold we get it from virus, but sometimes we eat batasa and then we also get the common cold.
We eat what? Batasha? What is that? I don't
Batase.
know. Batashe.
Sir, that
Okay.
white.
Prana, can you help? I don't know what batashe is, so maybe Prana can help answer the question.
Dr. Mehra, batashe is, I'll chime in. Batashe is like a little sweet. It's in the shape of a drop, and you can, kids like it, they suck on it. Sugar, basically sugar.
Oh, okay.
Ma'am,
No,
we
no.
can say golgappe.
Golgappa.
Oh, you mean Golgappa? Okay, I think he's referring to.
Okay.
He's referring to Golgappas. You are familiar with that?
Yes, yes. Okay. No, you cannot get the common cold from Golgappas. If the Golgappas are well cooked and they are not contaminated in any way, you will not get a common cold from Golgappa. That is not true. So just to clarify that. So
No,
the
sir. I
question,
am asking that we can some one day I also eat batasha at night, and that I got a cold.
no, no, that's not the reason for your cold. That was not the common viral cold. You may have had some other kind of infection because the batasha may not have been a very clean food. It may have had some bacteria in it or something else. But you cannot catch unless it's really, you must have been close to somebody else which gave you the virus, or that is not the reason for getting a common cold.
Sir,
So,
Okay, sir.
sir,
yes,
I have a doubt.
yes.
That there is a vaccine for HIV or not?
No, no, unfortunately not. And this is now who's speaking? What's your name? I can't see you or see your name. Who asked that question?
Shreya Kukreti.
Okay, Shreya. So hey, Shreya.
Ma'am, no, now concentrating in HIV because the new COVID-19 has come. So the HIV is now working or has
No
vaccine.
vaccine, as I answered. Now, this is what I wanted to tell Shreya, I think is the person who asked that question. This is a challenge for you. To make the COVID-19 vaccine, how many brains did it take? It took brains all over the world. It is being made in India. There were people in America. There were people in England. There were people in Germany. They were all scientists who were using their brain. Now, nobody has been able to come up with a vaccine for HIV yet. No, but maybe you can. See, if you are, when you grow up, if you want to be a scientist, you'll have to work hard. You'll have to be very smart. Now, this is your challenge because millions of people die because of this virus. If you, Shreya, can come up with a vaccine, you'll be helping the whole world. Wouldn't that be nice? So this is a challenge for you.
Sir, it will be nice.
So you can do this. Anybody can. But it takes
Sir,
effort. It takes teamwork. It takes effort. You have to be smart. You have to use your brain. So the short answer is there is no vaccine for HIV. Now,
sir, I have a doubt.
yes, go
Children,
ahead.
But we can also use AI.
children, please listen, Vaibhav, please. I request
Sir, I
all
have
of
a
you
doubt.
wait for Reina. Please listen. Wait for Dr. Mehra's session to finish. Then he will have one question answer session at that time because it is actually breaking up the continuity of the webinar. Sir is trying to make things so nicely explained to you all. So I am sure all your doubts will get solved if you let him speak. And in the end, definitely we will enable the chat session. You can post your questions and then I will put across your questions to sir. Because
Okay.
things are not clear. We will answer all your questions.
Yes,
Leena ma'am, please enable the chat. Children can write questions in the chat box because
yes.
sir is not able to, I think, continue with what he has planned. Do you agree, sir, or do you want
Yeah.
children to interrupt you?
No, I think you should write your questions down in the chat box, and then we will answer as many as we can given the time. I love
Yes, sir.
questions. So that I love to answer questions. I love to have a discussion, but let's just listen to the presentation and you'll get all the opportunity. So the
Because
question
most
that,
of the answers will get solved within your presentation itself. So
yes,
children,
hopefully.
please write your questions in the chat box. Chat is enabled now and listen carefully to what is being taught to you. Okay?
So the question that I'm going to try to answer in this slide here is, how does one get this virus? How does it enter the body? One way is if a mother has HIV, let's assume a mother is pregnant and gives birth to a child. And if the mother has HIV, the child can get it from the mother when they are born. They can get it through mother's milk if she has the HIV virus. Another very common way is when people use unclean needles that are used by persons with HIV. Now, let me explain that a little bit. There are a lot of people who use bad drugs, people who are addicted to bad drugs, harmful drugs, and they use syringes to put those bad drugs in their body. And if those syringes are dirty, they have been used by some person with HIV, what's happening is the HIV virus is on the needle, it's in the blood that was used before in the syringe, and it goes inside your body. So that's another way. Or blood transfusion. I don't know how many of you have heard of the word blood transfusion. Sometimes, let's think. Let's say somebody has a very serious accident, some road accident, just to take an example, and they bleed. They bleed a lot. बहुत खून निकल आता है. The doctor says you need, if the blood is not clean, if the blood was given by somebody who had HIV, then that blood goes into this person with the accident and they can get HIV. They can get that HIV virus. So these are some of the ways you can get No, I think we decided we will answer the questions in the end. So if you don't mind, I know you have a doubt. I can hear you ready to say that, but please write it in the chat box and I'll answer it later on. Now, HIV cannot be passed by, cannot. The key word here is cannot. Coughing and sneezing, like a common cold or even the coronavirus. That's why we do physical distancing. If somebody who's got the coronavirus coughs in your face, you can get the virus. That's why you wear a mask. HIV cannot be passed that way. If you hold somebody's hand or touch unclean, you cannot get the HIV virus. Let's say you decide to share some plates or drinks, you cannot get it's mainly through blood, as we discussed before. Blood transfusions, dirty needles, and mothers passing it to their infants. Hugging. If you decide to hug somebody who has the virus, you will not get the virus. Now, here's a good question, and I'll answer it because mosquitoes, as you know, mosquitoes, what do? They bite you and they draw some blood from one person, and this is how malaria spreads. And then they fly to another person and they inject that blood into another person. So you would think that mosquitoes must cause HIV, but it's not the case. And the reason is the HIV virus dies in the mosquito's stomach. It dies. So when they bite you again, when a mosquito bites you, it cannot give you HIV, even though it has bitten a man or a person, I shouldn't say a man, could be a woman, with HIV. So it cannot be passed by these ways. So the next question on the screen is, how does one know they have HIV? How would anybody know? मेरे अंदर virus है. If you have some symptoms, you may be suspicious कि भाई, I'm feeling very weak, I have some diarrhea. There's only one way to find out. You have to go to the hospital and get a blood test. The same way for COVID-19. Well, COVID-19 is, you can get a test from the mouth, the saliva test, from the nose, from the mouth. But here you have to get a blood test. They will take the blood of the person and they will determine if they have a virus. So as we discussed before, there is no cure. There is no vaccine for it. But there are medicines that can prevent HIV from becoming a full-blown AIDS disease. So there are some good medicines, but it's not a cure. And that's why when I think Shreya said, and I put a challenge to Shreya, maybe when he grows up, then he will become a scientist to find a cure, a vaccine for HIV. Nobody's been able to find it. I know you can do it. I know you can do it. You just have to put your mind to it, and you have to work hard and be passionate about becoming a scientist. So anyway, with the medicines, you can almost lead a normal life if you're well treated. So a person with HIV lives about 10 years less than the others. So let me tell you, if in India, an average person lives about 68, 70 years, this is the average longevity, what we call life expectancy of somebody in India. If they had the virus and they got treated, this is with good treatment, good medicines, they may live a life of 60 years, which is not bad, because many years ago, people used to die very early. So medicines have improved. So all working, they've been using their brain how to come up with good medicines. And I said there is no vaccination for HIV, unlike for COVID-19. As you know, the COVID-19 vaccines are the two or three that have shown effectiveness. They'll get approved, and hopefully we'll all get vaccinated for COVID-19 one of these days in the next 6 months. So how do I prevent getting HIV? If you're an infant, you have no control. If your mother had HIV, there's nothing you can do. You're a baby. Kuch nahi kar sakte. But if you're an adult, don't use dirty needles, because you don't know if that dirty needle was used by somebody with HIV. Keep your skin cuts skin covered, which means that just keep something so that your blood does not touch the blood of somebody who has HIV. So, wear a Band-Aid or something if you get cuts. Make sure blood transfusions are safe. We discussed that before. So let me throw some numbers out, because you may ask the question, भाई कितने लोगों को HIV है भारत में और वर्ल्ड के ऊपर? कितने लोगों को है? There are 2.2 million people in India that have HIV. There are 70,000 cases per year. हर साल में 70,000 केस नए आते हैं. You know what that means? Every 8 minutes, someone in India is getting HIV. Every 8 minutes. In India, this is only India. And that's why if you can develop a vaccine, it will help a lot of people. But look at the world. 1.7 million cases every year, new cases every year. There are 3 new cases of HIV every minute. Can you imagine how many people you could help if you could develop a vaccine? And this is a challenge to all of you, not to one student. You can all, if you have to work hard at it, you have to become a scientist to do this. This is what scientists do, medical research scientists. जो किसी को शौक होता है, किसी को शौक नहीं होता, कोई बात नहीं. So what can you do? So here is one of my last few slides. I think this. So I don't know how many of you know somebody with AIDS. Probably not many people. They feel very isolated. They feel that society does not like them. They cannot give you the HIV virus, because I told you, through coughing, holding hands, being with them, being their friend, you will not get the virus from them. So be a friend to them. They feel isolated. उनके दोस्त बन जाओ. They cannot give you the disease casually, as I said. If you hug them, if you hold their hands, shake their hands, just be friends, you will not get the disease. It is safe. Of course, if anyone needs a blood transfusion, make sure it's clean. It comes from a good blood bank. ये नहीं हो कि कहीं से ले लिया, blood चाहिए, रास्ते में कहीं से खरीद लिया. ऐसे नहीं करना है. Never use needles that have been used before, because you never know whether it was used in a person with HIV. And this is what we've been talking about. Do you want to discover a vaccine for HIV? I think somebody in this group is motivated I could feel that motivation. So this is your challenge. You can make it as a goal in your life. I want to develop a vaccine for HIV, and you'll save millions of people. Millions. Of course, you need to be a scientist like those who made one for COVID-19. A lot of people worked on this. Many big companies worked on this. It took a lot of hard work, but they got it done in a record time. In less than a year, the vaccine was developed. This is unheard of, unheard of. So anyway, thank you so much. I enjoyed talking to you, and I would love to take your questions. So please go ahead, and maybe somebody can, oops,
Yeah, I
just
think.
show. Let's see the, yes, go ahead, Prerna.
Yeah, I think I have written few questions, and there are many coming up. So let's start with those. There was a question that you talked about drugs, so they want to know what are drugs. You know.
Oh, drugs are I think I think I was referring to, if I'm not mistaken, these are medicines. They're two kind. They're two. Okay, I don't know where the word drug came from in my slide. One is uh, there are good drugs and bad drugs. So let me put it this way: good drugs are medicines. When you take some medicine, it's a drug. Those are the good drugs. The bad drugs are the ones that harm you. And some people use them illegally. They're not allowed, they should not be using these drugs. They use them for because it does something to their brain and they get addicted to these drugs. Those are the bad drugs. So just remember, there are two kinds of drugs: good drugs, which are the medicines, and the bad drugs. We have to stay away from bad drugs. They harm you. There are lots of effects, and that's whole another lecture on good drugs and bad drugs. Okay, go ahead. Hopefully that answers the question.
Yeah, so I think we use the word blood transfusion. So some of them are not clear about what is blood transfusion. If we
Okay,
can.
okay. Yes, let me explain that. Blood transfusion, I gave the example. Let's say I was in an accident and something happens to me, I get a cut in my body and I lose a lot of blood. A lot of blood. Not just a little bit, a lot of blood. Now, the body has a way of making blood. The body will make a blood, but if I lose so much blood, then the doctor is concerned that my blood pressure may go so low, I may become so weak that I could die from it. They give you somebody else's blood. That is called blood transfusion. ये किसी और का blood है. And you go to a blood bank. Jैसे you go to a bank to take money from, or you take a loan from a bank, same way there are blood banks. They store blood so that if anybody needs blood in an emergency, you can take the blood from them, and then the doctor will put it inside your body to replace the blood you have lost. They don't do it for small injuries, but if the injury and the blood loss is very severe. Yes.
So when you explain that from where can HIV not occur, so in that case you explained the mosquito one. So actually my connection was lost and I cannot hear that. Can you repeat it?
Repeat the mosquito question or what? I want to be clear what you're asking.
So when you showed one slide in which you somehow showed from where can HIV virus not occur. So in that one point was mosquito.
Yes, okay. Yes, that is correct. I wanted to be sure because it comes from blood. So the question was, I wanted you to think about this because a lot of people get confused. What does a mosquito do? It bites somebody and it draws blood. And then this is how you get malaria. And then the mosquito flies to another person and bites that person and puts that malaria germ into the other person. So you would think that even HIV, if a mosquito bites an HIV person, can they not carry it to another person? And the answer is no, because the HIV virus cannot live in the stomach of the mosquito. That's what I was trying to explain. I know you lost your connection. So mosquito bites cannot give you HIV. That's the main point. And I explained the reason why.
Sir, I have a
Thank you,
doubt.
sir.
You're welcome.
Sir, I have a doubt.
Sir,
Yes.
Sir, I have a doubt that, sir, in China people ate so many bats, but why in 2019 have been a rise of COVID-19?
Well, from what we know, we don't know exactly what happened in China, but what we understand is that there's a town in China called Wuhan, and there is a market there which used to sell bats. People used to buy bats and eat them. Now
Okay, sir.
we don't know the details, but somehow somebody didn't clean the bat, they didn't cook it correctly. Nobody knows exactly what
sir,
happened. It
I
jumped from
have
the
a
bats to the human. Yes.
sir. I have a doubt.
Yes.
Sir, you said that the HIV virus started from Wuhan, China.
No, no, no,
Exact.
no, 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 no. I didn't say that. No, no, no. That not the HIV virus. The coronavirus started from Wuhan, China. The HIV virus, from what we know, started somewhere in Africa, and it jumped from chimpanzees to humans. The same way the coronavirus jumped from bats to humans, the HIV virus was living in chimpanzees in Africa, and then it went into humans.
Sir, you said the coronavirus had started in Wuhan, China. But exactly how is it? How it started?
Well, I think I try to explain the best we know. We don't know exactly, but I'll explain it one more time. It's called a wet market where people used to buy bats and eat them. There were bats being sold in Wuhan, China. And we don't know exactly how, but in this it's called a wet market because they are live animals that are being sold. And they are live bats being sold. And people take them and cook them or do whatever. I don't know. I don't know the details.
Sir,
So
But,
it jumped.
but in,
I have a
sir, I have a doubt. Sir, I
sir.
have
I
a
have
doubt.
a sir. I have a
Sir?
second doubt.
Sir, I have a doubt.
Sir, I have a doubt.
Children, can we please
Okay, dear children.
wait a minute, children? I think Prerna ma'am is going to ask the questions which you have written in the chat, because if so many of you ask, then it may not be possible for sir to answer. So I'll request Prerna ma'am to please read out the next question.
Yes,
Now,
that's a
dear
good idea.
students, have patience, my dear children. We will ask your questions from Sir one by one. Okay? Okay, Prerna ma'am will ask the questions. She has noted all your questions. And after that, we have a small surprise also for you. Okay?
Yeah. So there's one question that says that does a vaccine has a very weak germ of that disease?
Yes, vaccines can be live. There are two kinds of vaccine. They're called live vaccines or dead vaccines. Live vaccines can have a small amount of that germ, which uh, creates an immune response in your body. But the germ is so weak, it cannot win the war. But the body thinks that, oh my God, this germ has entered. I have to wage a war against it. And it creates immunity against it. So that's one kind of a vaccine. The second kind of vaccine is where there is no live germ in it. So it doesn't have the germ, the weakened part of the germ. So there are two kinds of vaccines. From what I understand, the COVID-19 vaccine is not a live germ. It's a RNA sequence of to attack the virus, and the body creates these cells to attack the virus. So the question is a good one. Not all vaccines have weakened live germs. Some do and some don't. Okay, next question, please.
Yeah, so I think there's one question, what is blood bank? But I think we have discussed it, and I hope it is clear now. Then again, there was a question. I'm not sure if they are fine with it. Is there a vaccine for AIDS?
No, no, no. AIDS comes from HIV. There is no vaccine for HIV. There's no vaccine for AIDS. So it's one and the same. It AIDS is really the disease which is once you've had this HIV virus in your body for a number of years, it becomes a full-grown AIDS syndrome, a disease. That's what it's called. But they're related. One causes the other. So there is no vaccine for HIV or AIDS. None. And this is the challenge to all of you. You are all capable of. I'm waiting. I'm going to wait. I'll wait 20 years, and I want one of you at least to develop the vaccine for HIV, and I will be waiting. I will be congratulating you.
Prerna ma'am, children are full of questions. Let us have a wonderful set of questions for our children. Leena ma'am, are you ready? Dear children, we knew that you will be so
Ma'am,
excited. Uh, ma'am?
just one good question because I think this is
Sir,
the.
I have a doubt.
Fine. Just a minute, Shreya. Just a minute.
I
We'll
saw.
have one last question, and after that, we have a very big quiz for all of you. Okay? Prerna ma'am, you can go ahead with the question, then we will have the
This
quiz.
question is a little interesting because this was the whole idea behind
Yeah,
letting them know all
yeah.
about it. And it is
And
that
children are
how
really
will we,
taking good interest. Yes.
yeah, how will we come to know that a person has AIDS so that we can be friends? So, they have this thing in their mind that how will we come to know should we be friend to them or not? So that is to take their fear out. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. The thing is, you don't know. You cannot tell whether somebody has the HIV virus or a full AIDS disease unless they tell you. You will not know that. And normally, these people, they if they get a full AIDS syndrome, they become very weak. They cannot go to school. They become very isolated people. So otherwise, there is no way. You cannot look at somebody and say, "Oh, I think this person has HIV." You cannot. It's impossible. And as I said before, the only way to find out if they get a blood test, and they get a blood test if they start having certain symptoms. Otherwise, you cannot find out. The same way, let me ask you, if you see somebody on the street and if you ask the question, do you have COVID-19? Can you look at a person and tell if they have COVID-19? No, you can't. Only they know it. How do they know it? They got a test done. And the test showed they have COVID-19, and they're the ones who know. You don't know without them telling you. You could be in a room with 10 people, and if they decide to lie to you and they have COVID and they say, no, we don't, there's no way you can find out. Nobody
Sir,
does
may
that.
I,
So I'm
may
trying.
I answer this question, please? Because these children, please
Sir, I have a
understand.
doubt. Sir,
Listen,
I have
Shreya,
a doubt.
there is a difference between being HIV positive and having AIDS as disease. There is a window period. Somebody, if by mistake by at the barber's shop or at the doctor's clinic has received HIV virus, that virus may take 10 to 12 years in the blood. The person will remain HIV positive. That is what sir is saying, that it is for 10, 12 years the person is HIV positive, but he is not a patient of AIDS. AIDS is a disease which takes 10 to 12 years of window to manifest into a disease. So you don't worry, it will not
Yes.
spread in the school. It will not spread by sitting next to a person. It will not spread by handshake. It will not spread, but maintain personal and community hygiene, and you can stay away from all kind of viral diseases. Okay, children?
Thank you for
Sir, I
clarifying
have a
that.
doubt.
Yes. One second, let me just reinforce that. I think ma'am made a very strong point. You don't need to be scared of HIV. It is not as common, firstly, as COVID-19 is, which we are all facing in a pandemic. And for all kinds of diseases, which are infectious diseases, the best thing you can do every day is have a strong immune system. How do you do that? Eat well, exercise every day, and sleep well. If you do that, that is all you can do to yourself, so that if any germ comes at you, the germ will be killed by your body. There are germs all over, but we're not afraid of them. I'm not afraid of them. Why? Because I have good immunity. I exercise every day. I take a dog for a walk every day in a isolated area, not in a crowded area. So anyway, this is what you can do. Make your immune system strong. Okay, go ahead.
Sir, I have a doubt. If we
Sir,
have
please
a
take
strong,
my doubt.
sir, I have a doubt.
Sir, I have a question.
Please write your questions in the chat box and we'll answer all of them. So we'll answer them.
Sir,
Write your questions in the chat box.
Sir, I have a question.
Yes. Okay, I think, can you please write it in the chat box? That way it's fair to everyone. Otherwise, the loudest voice may end up.
Yeah.
So, can you please
And
write the
and dear
question in
children, yeah, dear children, after this question, we'll take up the quiz. Okay? Right? Thank you for being so cooperative, my dear children. Prerna ma'am, you can take up the last question and then we will share the link for the quiz.
Yeah.
I hope, Leena ma'am, you are ready with the
Sir,
quiz.
I have also have a doubt.
Yes, ma'am, I'm ready.
Yeah.
Ma'am, I have a doubt.
Um, I think the question is that how does HIV, how do we know that we have HIV? This we have concluded. Sir, HIV virus is a communicable disease or non-communicable disease?
I think we talked about that was one of the first slides.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
communicable disease. You get it from other people. You don't get it by just eating bad food or not exercising, which is the non-communicable diseases. So HIV is a communicable disease. The word communicable, just think about that word for a second. Communicable means you communicate from one to the other. Non-communicable means you cannot communicate it. I cannot get diabetes from a friend of mine. I cannot. I'll only get diabetes if I have poor eating habits, I don't exercise, etc. Okay. So I
sir,
think
Okay, now, dear children, I think we had lots and lots of questions, and Sir has explained the topic so well to all of us. Now, let us see how much have you gathered from what Sir has shared with us. Okay, so here
Ma'am,
Leena ma'am is sharing.
sir, I have
Wait,
sir,
children,
I have a
wait,
doubt.
Weber, you have to wait now. And now we are going to have a quiz session, right? We are sharing a link of the quiz in the chat box. All of you attempt the quiz, right? Leena ma'am has shared it with you. Click at the link. Thank you.
ma'am, the link is not opening.
Okay, beta, let me just check. Tina, ma'am?
No, ma'am, the link opening.
Okay.
Ma'am, it is opening. The only thing
It
when
is
they click
opening,
on
yes.
link, they have to see whether they are using the personal ID or they are using their official IDs. Because personal
Yes.
IDs will not will be able to open this link. So they have to check their account. They are clicking the link from. It's opening, ma'am. It's opening.
It's opening. Yes, I have also checked. Dear children, the link is opening, but log in by your own official IDs.
Ma'am, I have logged in by my official ID since I joined Meet.
But it is opening, beta.
Children, the quiz link is enabled. You can enter through your G Suite ID. In case it is not opening, open it with incognito. Use a fresh window to open it. It will open and submit your answers in that Google form only. Don't panic, don't worry. Parimita ma'am, can we announce that the winner will get a certificate from the school and we can propose vote of thanks? We have already taken enough the time of the guest speakers.
So students, I'm sure the session is really interesting for all of us and highly informative. On behalf of my school, principal ma'am, vice principal ma'am, headmistress ma'am, all the teachers and the student fraternity, my heartfelt thanks to you, sir, for sparing your time and making this topic so informative and interesting for the children as the list of questions reflect. The session was not only informative, sir, you also motivated them to be scientists, and we look forward for the vaccines. And I'm sure many children must have got aimed today. What do they want to do, and what do they have to find out in the life ahead? Arnav, you have to. Arnav, yes, beta, you. Thank you, sir. Thanks so much. Thank you, Prerna ma'am. Thank you, Sarita ma'am, for being here with us today.
Thank you, teachers. It was a pleasure.
Thank you, ma'am.
Very much for having us here.
Thank you. I would also like to extend my thanks to Vidhi Oberoi ma'am for being such a great help
Definitely.
arranging this webinar wherein our small children have got awareness for this topic. I'm sure they will be compassionate and loving with the people around them, and they will also develop, work hard for their community. They will understand what their mama cooks and serves them is for their betterment. Dear children, I'm sure you're going to eat lots of fruits, vegetables, and you're going to exercise regularly. So we have solved a problem of your parents also today. My son is not eating this, my daughter is not eating this. All of you have understood because of the COVID pandemic and because of all what Sir has to stay healthy, you have to boost up your immunity. Right, dear children? So, with the promise that you are all going to stay healthy by eating healthy, exercising, and no late night TV watching. You all have to sleep on time because correct sleep, sufficient sleep,
Ma'am, I got full marks.
also essential for your good health, right? Thank you, Leena ma'am, for your technical support. Thank you, dear children, for being wonderful audience, for being so participative, and I'm sure you are going to implement good habits.
I got 10 out
Stay
of
aware.
10.